the Blue Blood. Before Triple H became the Game and used the sledgehammer, he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, a show-off aristocrat who walked to the ring like he was allergic to dirt. He wore ruffled shirts, used big words, and looked like he'd run for the president. WWE pushed him as a heel who thought he was better than everyone, and fans hated him for it, which was the point. He'd bow before matches and act disgusted by his opponents. The gimmick was pure cartoon, but under it, Triple H was learning. He was technically solid, consistent, and slowly gaining trust backstage. He wasn't a star yet, not even close, but he was watching, waiting, and biding his time behind the curtain. The Outlaw. A year later, Triple H dropped the fake accent and the manners and joined forces with Shawn Michaels to form D-Generation X. This wasn't the polite Blue Blood anymore, this was a degenerate. Crotch chops, suck-it gestures, and a whole lot of middle fingers. Triple H was extremely reckless, rude, and over the top, which gained him a lot of fans. DX was the anti-authority group before Stone Cold made it cool. They mocked everyone, from Vince to Bret Hart to Mike Tyson. Triple H found his edge here. He was still second fiddle to HBK, but the confidence started showing. He was sharper on the mic, meaner in the ring, and more in control. The aristocrat gimmick was truly dead by now, and the rebel had risen. The fans could truly tell that Triple H wasn't just playing a role, he was actually being him. DX leader. The DX went on to become the biggest faction WWE had ever seen. But Shawn Michaels soon got injured, and everyone thought DX was over. They didn't believe Triple H had the charisma to lead it himself. But boy did he prove them all wrong. He didn't just lead, he took DX to new heights. Triple H subsequently assembled new members including X-Pac, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and Chyna. This gave the group a fresh look and they started wreaking even more havoc throughout the roster. As time passed, they transitioned from being rebellious to being more ruthless. Triple H also changed his appearance and the way he talked. He later fought with The Rock for the Intercontinental Championship in what turned out to be one of the best rivalries of the year. That was when the fans finally started taking him seriously. He was no longer the prankster, but a leader who could actually headline main event shows. The Game. The turn of the century is when Triple H became Triple H. He called himself The Game, the best in the business, and backed it up. The silly DX leader was replaced by a ripped bad guy who could out-wrestle and out-brawl anyone. He feuded with Mick Foley in matches that were straight-up carnage. He then married Stephanie, both in storyline and real life, and became the most hated man in the company. At one point, he was the main guy on Raw. He beat The Rock, Austin, Angle, Taker, you name it. This version of Triple H wasn't funny. He was calculated, cold, and deadly. He had the best physique of his life during this period and wrestled in some of the most iconic matches ever. The two-man power trip. When Stone Cold turned heel, WWE paired him with Triple H, and just like that, the two biggest egos in the business joined forces. They beat Taker and Kane for the tag titles, bullied JR, and literally tore apart the entire roster. This version of Triple H was the ultimate henchman, still dangerous, but slightly in Austin's shadow again. In May 2001, Triple H tore his quad during a tag match, but he kept wrestling and even took the walls of Jericho on the announce table with his leg completely shredded. That's the moment fans started respecting him, and they realized he wasn't just the boss's son-in-law, he was a legit warrior. The Return of the King. After being sidelined for almost 8 months, Triple H made a grand entrance in January 2002. The crowd went absolutely nuts at Madison Square Garden, showing just how much they had missed him. This Triple H had bulked up significantly, and it appeared his jeans were about to tear apart. He also had his classic leather jacket and the wet hair going on. And when he did the water spit at the top of the ramp, the place exploded. Triple H didn't just return from injury, he was coming back as the guy everyone had been waiting for. A few weeks later, he won the Royal Rumble. Then he walked into WrestleMania and beat Chris Jericho to become the undisputed champion. Nobody talks about the match itself. What mattered was the moment. This was Triple H at the top of the mountain, and people actually cheered him. They respected what he went through. Tearing your quad off the bone and still coming back like that made fans see him in a whole new light. But even then, deep down, he still looked like a man who preferred the hate. Evolution era. In early 2003, Triple H surrounded himself with Ric Flair, Randy Orton, and Batista to form Evolution. It was a genius move. He positioned himself as the present, Flair as the past, and the other two as the future. But make no mistake, it was Triple H's show, and he absolutely hogged the spotlight. Fans hated it, and that was the point. He buried Booker T at WrestleMania 19, beat Goldberg, ran through everyone not in his stable. When Orton got hot, he kicked him out as well and later had a series of battles with Batista. This version of Triple H was the absolute badass villain. He was the guy you love to hate because you know he's pulling strings behind the scenes and in front of them. The betrayed king. Triple H thought he had Batista wrapped around his finger, but the animals saw through it. The contract signing, the thumbs up that turned to a thumbs down, and the spine buster through the table? Classic. This version of Triple H was the egomaniac finally getting outplayed, and it was perfect. He made Batista look like a killer by taking 3 straight losses, including at WrestleMania 21. For once, Triple H wasn't the one burying someone. He was doing the honors of pushing the newcomers. But even in loss, he never looked weak. He still looked like a man you didn't want on your bad side. Triple H's crown may have cracked, but the kingdom wasn't done yet. King of Kings. This was the point of time when Triple H was treated as royalty. He wasn't just a top guy anymore, he was the top guy, the King of Kings. His entrance with the epic music, the throne, and the water spit was so insane that many fans would scream at the top of their lungs. Triple H was always in the upper cards, feuding with the likes of John Cena for the title. But then a major setback hit when he tore his other quad. Same brutal injury, but different leg. Even this time, Triple H returned with renewed determination and picked up right where he left off. He didn't need a championship to feel important. Just his presence made any segment feel bigger. He'd show up, throw a few spine busters, deliver that signature smirk, and leave people talking. This wasn't chasing gold anymore. He was proving he was gold. DX 2.0. Triple H reunited with Shawn Michaels to bring back DX, and this time it was less about attitude and more about merch. Lots of green glow sticks and poop jokes. Don't get me wrong, the fans still loved it. But this DX wasn't the rebellious group flipping off the authority. They were the authority, and that made things weird. Still, they had fun. They mocked Vince, made silly skits, and popped the crowd every week. They also delivered some crazy matches, whether it was against Rated RKO or the Spirit Squad. This was Triple H as a veteran who didn't need the spotlight, but always found his way back to it. Even when he was having fun, there was still danger underneath. The cerebral assassin. Around this time, Triple H didn't have the best of physiques, but he didn't need to. He was done trying to impress the fans and didn't come out with dramatic entrances. That's because everyone knew he was the king. Even during his matches, Triple H fought slowly and methodically rather than with brute force. Still, the mere sight of him in the ring was enough to scare the other wrestlers away. Triple H won the WWE Championship inside the Elimination Chamber and later went after Randy Orton in a rivalry that felt more violent than anything he had done before. This wasn't just a title feud, it turned personal. There were home attacks, handcuffs, and matches filled with stiff shots and real anger. Triple H didn't need to move fast or fly around the ring. He used his strength, his timing, and his experience to make sure every match went exactly how he wanted. He didn't smile or care if people loved him. He just came in, handled his business, and left everyone on the mat. The Authority. This was corporate evil Triple H Pro Max. He stopped with all the comedic shit and became the strict boss everyone fears. With Stephanie by his side, he formed the Authority, a group designed to do what's best for business, which usually meant screwing over fan favorites like Daniel Bryan. This wasn't the Triple H in shorts. This was him in sharp suits and slicked back hair. He'd still get in the ring when he had to, but only to remind people he could. His feud with Bryan at WrestleMania 30 is widely regarded as one of the best stories in the modern era. Fans hated him, and that's what made it work. He used his real-life power and blended it with kayfabe to become the perfect modern villain. The Wrestlemania Gatekeeper. After some intense matches against The Undertaker and becoming a part of the Authority, Triple H slowed down. He wasn't always showing up on live events and didn't compete for titles like he used to. That's because Triple H had become the boss behind the scenes, who made sure everything was in place. But when WrestleMania was around the corner, he would usually feud with a top wrestler and make sure the world knew he'd still got it. At WrestleMania 32, he let Roman Reigns win to give him the push he needed. The next year, he did the same for Seth Rollins, which turned out to be an all-time classic. Then at WrestleMania 35, he battled it out with Batista one final time to close that chapter once and for all. During all of these WrestleMania matches, his entrances were epic, and who can't forget that time he came out as a cyborg, the king behind the curtain. After decades of blood, sweat, and spotlight, Triple H quietly began stepping away from the ring. There was no dramatic farewell, no retirement tour, no emotional last match. In 2021, a serious heart issue forced him to take time off. And just like that, the in-ring career of one of wrestling's biggest names ended without ceremony. But that was never what he wanted anyway. He had already started doing his best work behind the scenes, slowly becoming the man who helped guide the next generation. Then in 2022, as Vince McMahon stepped away from WWE, Triple H returned as the Chief Content Officer. He became the person shaping the future of the company he helped build from the inside for over 2 decades. Triple H didn't need to hold a sledgehammer anymore. He just made decisions to shape the career of others.